The world around us is filled with small wonders that we often touch but rarely truly see. Consider the simple button, a tiny disc of plastic, wood, or metal that holds our modern lives together with quiet persistence. Before we dive into the deep mechanics of history, let your mind settle into the rhythm of these words. Picture a time before the button was a functional tool, when clothing was draped, pinned, or tied with leather thongs. In the ancient world, buttons existed, but they were purely ornamental, crafted from seashells or bone to signify status, rather than to provide closure. They were beautiful, silent witnesses to civilizations that moved at a much slower pace than our own. These early buttons were often found in the Indus Valley, appearing as decorative circles sewn onto garments without a matching hole to receive them. For centuries, the human form was wrapped in tunics and robes that flowed loosely, held only by the weight of the fabric or a simple belt. The first major reason buttons became an everyday standard was the architectural invention of the buttonhole in the 13th century. This was a technological leap that mirrored the construction of great cathedrals, requiring a precise understanding of tension and support. Before the buttonhole, buttons were like stars in the sky, bright and beautiful, but unreachable in a practical sense. Once the Germans developed the reinforced slit in the fabric, the button transitioned from a static ornament to a dynamic machine. This allowed for a tighter fit, meaning garments could finally be tailored to the unique contours of the individual human body. Imagine the slow, deliberate work of a medieval tailor cutting into heavy wool, creating a space for a small wooden toggle to pass through. This functional evolution meant that clothing could provide better warmth and protection, as it could now be sealed tightly against the cold winds of northern Europe. As the buttonholes spread across the continent, the second reason for the button's dominance emerged: its role as a marker of social hierarchy and the rise of professional tailoring. During the Renaissance, buttons became a language of their own, speaking of wealth, trade, and the mastery of fine materials. A single doublet could be adorned with dozens, even hundreds, of tiny buttons made from silver, gold, or precious stones. To button such a garment was a ritual that required time and often the assistance of a servant, reinforcing the status of the wearer. The complexity of these garments necessitated the growth of tailoring guilds who obsessed over the placement and spacing of every fastener. Each button was hand-sewn with silk thread, a repetitive and meditative process that mirrored the slow passage of time in a pre-industrial world. Sumptuary laws were even enacted to control who could wear buttons made of certain materials, as the tiny objects had become powerful symbols of political and economic standing. Imagine the weight of a velvet coat laden with pewter buttons, each one a small anchor holding the fabric against the body. This era solidified the button as an essential component of the Western wardrobe, as it allowed for the elaborate, structured silhouettes that defined the modern era. The third, and perhaps most transformative reason buttons became a global standard was the Industrial Revolution and the demands of military uniformity. As the 18th century turned into the 19th, the need to clothe massive armies required a fastening system that was both durable and easily mass-produced. Factories began churning out buttons by the millions, moving away from hand-carved wood to stamped brass and molded horn. These military buttons had to withstand the rigors of campaign life, the mud of the trenches, and the constant friction of movement. The standardization of the uniform meant that every soldier, regardless of his origin, was bound by the same functional logic of the button. This period also saw the rise of the specialized button factory, where machines hummed with a steady, hypnotic rhythm, pressing out discs of metal and bone for the growing middle class. As production costs plummeted, the button moved from the aristocratic salon to the common household, becoming a staple of every shirt and pair of trousers. The invention of the sewing machine further accelerated this trend, as buttonholes could now be stitched in seconds rather than minutes. Think of the vast warehouses filled with boxes of buttons, sorted by size and color, waiting to be sent to every corner of the globe. This industrial explosion ensured that no matter where a person lived, their clothing would likely rely on this simple, effective mechanism. Even as zippers and Velcro were invented much later, the button remained the standard because of its reliability and ease of repair. A button is a simple machine that does not jam or rust in the same way more complex fasteners might. It is a tactile connection to the past, a small bridge between the handcrafted traditions of the Middle Ages and the high-tech production of the present day. When you look at a button now, see the history of trade routes, the development of metallurgy, and the slow evolution of human fashion. Each one represents a choice made by a designer, a worker, or a wearer to hold something together. The repetitive motion of fastening a button in the morning is a small grounding ritual that connects us to billions of people who have done the same for centuries. It is a quiet sound, the soft click of a button finding its home in a slit of fabric, a sound of completion and security. As you drift closer to sleep, imagine a great tapestry of history where every thread is secured by these tiny, faithful guardians. They are the anchors of our aesthetic world, small and humble, yet entirely indispensable. The weight of your blanket feels like the heavy wool of a vintage coat, secure and warm. The air is still, and the history of the world is tucked away, one button at a time. Let the image of 1,000 different buttons, pearl, wood, metal and glass, flicker in your mind like distant stars. They are the small details that make the world work, the tiny standards that we all share. Rest now, knowing that the world is held together by simple things, and that history is a long, slow thread that never truly ends. Sleep deeply, and let the quiet legacy of the button carry you into a peaceful, dreamless rest. Discover more history by watching the next video. We're eager to share more with you. You can't go wrong. All our videos are deeply detailed, dull while fascinating and distinctly sleep-inducing.